I'm Vasel. Welcome to the AlphaBest series. Today we're taking a look at my 10 favorite games that start with the letter Q. And I bet there are people who are watching this one who have skipped many of the other letters because you're probably saying, he can't find 10 games that start with the letter Q. Well, guess what, haters? I did find 10 games. Now, I'll be honest, like games 10, 9, and 8 are games that I merely like. I don't love them. Most of the other lists are games that I love, but you know, I needed 10 games for Q, but they're out there. And there are even some Q games that didn't make the list. I played more than 10. All right, so here we go. Starting with number 10 and going upwards for one of the hardest letters in the alphabet, I think. This was probably the hardest list that I made, except for maybe... No, I think maybe Z was a little bit harder. So here we go. Number 10, Quest for the Dragon Lords. This is a game I played a long time ago, and in this game it's like a big risk game, and you have these armies marching around and fighting each other, but you can break off groups of your armies and go on a quest. And in that quest, find all sorts of cool things, and hopefully a Dragon Lord, and when that Dragon Lord showed up, you can go whoop up on everybody else. Now, the designer of this game made it too complex when he redid it and added the expansions. And looking back at it, I would probably be a whole lot less kind to it today than I was then. But the whole idea of, ooh, we're fighting and we're questing and we're fighting and we're questing still brings me fond memories. Quest for the Dragon Lords. Number 9 is Quirkle. Oh, some of you are going, that was my number 1. That's fine. I know some people like Quirkle, and I like it. I just don't love it as much as everybody else. Where you're trying to put, you're basically playing Scrabble with colors and shapes. It's a very good game where you're pulling these, and then you place it on the board. You pull the wooden blocks. You're placing them on the board, trying to make, you know, a row of that are all the same color but different shapes, or all the same shape and different colors. It works well. This game won the Spiel des Jahres. A lot of fans of it. Quirkle. My number 8 is Corridor. Corridor is about corridors. Basically, you're trying to build these corridors to make something go from one side of the board to the other, and you're trying to set it up so that your opponent does. This is an abstract strategy game that was a classic style game, is used often in the classroom. When you have the one with the really nice wooden walls, such a cool little game. Corridor. Number 7 is Quarto. Quarto takes tic-tac-toe and makes it even more amazing, where you're trying to get them all, trying to get different shapes or different heights or the same color in a row, and you have different pieces and you got to put them out. Very simple, small game. You get a beautiful one with some nice pieces, and you're taking tic-tac-toe and moving it to another level. If you notice, most of the games start with Q seem to be abstract games. The number 6, which is Quandary. Quandary, now here I'm kind of cheating a little bit, because Quandary actually has come out in many different versions. There's Loco, and there's just many. I think there's like 5 or 6 different names for this game. But Quandary is actually one of my favorite versions, probably my favorite version of the game, with these big tiles. And this is kind of you're taking a share of a color, and then you're going to either increase a color or make a color go down. So you can take a lot of shares of the same color, but at the end of the game, that color may be worth nothing or worth very little, or you can spread it out and try to get your best. It's a very simple game, easy to play. I've always enjoyed that one. Number 5 is Quantum. Quantum is a game in which you have dice that are spaceships. These dice are going to be moving around the board, and it uses math as you try to manipulate them to take over different territories, and the different dice have special abilities, and you're moving around. This is kind of an underrated game. Not so many people talked about it. In fact, I don't think I even did a review of it because I don't own a copy of it, but I was able to play it and had a really good time. I mean, it's kind of weird getting used to your dice are spaceships, but it works for this game, Quantum. Number 4 is the Queen's Necklace. This game was just reprinted last year by Cool Mini and Not, and I'm so glad. This game from Bruno Fedduti is a game in which it's the 3 Musketeers, and you are trying to get jewels and sell them. Well, the 3 Musketeers show up, okay, but you're trying to get jewels and sell them. But what's neat about this game is that the prices, you have these cards in the middle, and you're buying these cards because they're good cards. And the prices are constantly going down on them. So you're like, oh, should I buy this? I don't really want to. I want this card instead, but if I take this card, then that card's going to be even cheaper for the next person. And then there's a jewelry sale several times over the game where you're like, okay, do I sell my jewels now here, or do I wait till another sale? Because only the person who sells the best jewels is going to get anything from it. So you got to kind of gauge and outguess your opponents. It's a little bit tricky, but I like it. Queen's Necklace. Number 3 is Quinamid. If you watch my letter P list, you'll see that Pentago was one of my favorite games because of getting 5 in a row. Quinamid does the same thing, get 5 in a row, but it takes Pentago and says, we can do that better. Not only do you place a piece or rotate a piece, but now you can slide a piece. Whew, so there's 5 levels, and you're sliding the levels, rotating the levels, and putting pieces in these levels, trying to get 5 in a row. Whew, it's tough, it's fast. Most games take like 5 minutes or so, but it is an excellent game. Hey, we're at number 2. Are you surprised at this point? Number 2 is Quarriors. Quarriors, the dice building game where you are buying dice from middle, throwing them into a bag. The prequel to Dice Masters, but I love Quarriors still. There's so many monster dice. I liked it even more when they added the advanced rules where you could buy multiple dice. It just works really well. A Quest for the Gladiator. Yeah, the names were dumb. But Quarriors ushered in a whole new era of dice games, although not many companies have really capitalized on that, but I still have a big kick out of that game. And number 1 just came out a month or so ago, and that is Quadropolis from Days of Wonder. This city building game is a little abstract. I mean, you don't necessarily feel like you're building a big city, but the way that you place these architects out to take tiles and then put these tiles in your city and build your cities, it's fast. It works well from 2, 3, and 4 players. There's a lot going on, but not very complex rules. It is a solid hit with gorgeous production values into my collection. Actually, I think I have Quadropolis, Quarriors, Quinamid, and Queen's Necklace. The top 4 all made my collection, which is pretty good for Q games. All right, whew, yes, I could do 10 Q games. Ha, 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 ha. Next time we'll get to the letter R. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.